Success you carry your weight. There ain't no time to debate. You gotta push through life. All my life, I call it how I see it, just because you need it. All my life, every day and every night we gotta fight. Yeah, we gotta fight it. Fighting for success.
All right, guys, I'm here with one of my new friends, and he's got some awesome background accolades in wrestling, but there's also a lot going on in his life that's really cool, and I'm excited to talk about it. And I was really close to getting an exclusive drop on some information that just happened with him, but I'm just a little late on it. But we will talk about that as well. I'm talking about my friend and the man in the hot seat tonight, Tyler Berger. Welcome to the show, bro.
Thank you, Anton.
I'm excited to have you in here because, so I don't know where you consider yourself in the world of wrestling. But to me, you got the old schoolers, and I don't even want to call them the old schoolers, but you've got the generation of guys that were the guys that did it before. Then you got the generation of guys that are kind of the top, but also on their way out. Jordan says he's got just a few years left. He's looking at that run for the next Olympics, and he's gone. I'm not sure how long Snyder and Cox is going to be around, but you got guys that are on that end. I consider you the next generation. Where do you consider yourself in that world?
Yeah, so I'm 26 years old.
Yep.
So I still have plenty of time.
Yeah.
My body's healthy, no surgeries, nothing crazy has ever happened to me, which thank God. It's pretty cool. My thing is I'm gonna outlast all these dudes that are better than me.
Yeah,
so
that's it, dude.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. So if these guys are better at wrestling than me, I'm just gonna outlast them.
That's it, dude.
Don't get hurt.
Yeah.
Keep wrestling.
Yep.
They're gonna have a family. They're gonna get married.
Yes.
They're gonna want to go make some more money. I'm gonna just be dedicated to this sport until I get what I want.
Tyler's secret to the gold medal is just longevity. Hey, I've heard worse ideas for sure. I like it, and I want to get into this because obviously you're a wrestler, and I want to know the backstory. Where did Tyler grow up? How did you find this sport? Give me some of that. Let us look behind the veil of Tyler Berger and see what's going on. When did it happen for you?
So I was born in Bend, Oregon, and my dad was a football player that had wrestling in his family. So we have twin uncles that went to Oregon State. They were the wrestlers in the family.
Oh wow!
And my dad was a football player in college, and he would wrestle in high school just to get better at football.
Nice.
But just super competitive guy, always, enjoyed the sport. And so when I was born, he was a wrestling coach at the time. So I was actually
your dad was a wrestling coach but never wrestled?
Wrestled in high school.
Oh, you did wrestle in high school. Okay.
Yeah. So he was a high school coach and the football coach, he just was involved in the school. And so I was actually at a wrestling tournament when I was 1 day old.
No way.
1 day old.
Seriously, I have to say that love what your dad did. Yeah. Know exactly what mom was thinking.
Oh, yeah. Like, what is going on?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, so then I started wrestling at 3.
Wow.
And my dad, he's just like I didn't know what I was doing.
Sure.
I don't even remember. So this is the thing is I don't even remember starting wrestling.
So you don't have a memory of not wrestling?
No memory of not wrestling.
That's wild.
And so, my dad he's crazy, dude. He's a nut. And I've told him this now that I'm older. I'm
sure.
like, dude, you're crazy. Like, I look back on what we did and I just thought it was normal.
Right.
I knew I was doing different things than most kids, and I wasn't allowed to do certain things. And then we would put in a lot of extra work and all this stuff. But I was just like, this is what we do.
Wow.
But so from a young age, there's a big butte from where I'm from. It's about a mile walk. And about 3 days a week, my dad would be taking us. I'm in elementary school. We'd be doing sprints up this thing. So my dad would start below me. I would start ahead of him. If I got beat by my dad, I would have another one at the end.
Whoa.
So this is a casual hike. This is a good hike, like afternoon hike that people would go on. Just like don't have to be anything crazy. So there's these families walking by, older couples walking by. And then there's this dad and this son. And my sister would be out there too.
Really?
And she would start ahead of me.
Oh, wow.
So she had a little bit more. And we would get after it, dude. I would be bawling on this hill, like get beat by my dad 3 times. Afterwards, I got to make this time. And I'm like, going crazy.
That's crazy.
So then, middle school, like we were up, waking me up at 5:15 in the morning. We were up lifting and then working out
in middle school.
Middle school. Okay, go back a little bit. Elementary school, my dad would pull me out of school and we were in Bend.
Yeah.
And he would drive to Portland, which is about a 3-hour drive.
It's a minute.
On Tuesdays and Thursdays, he would pull me out halfway through school. We would drive to Portland. I had this coach up there that was like helping me with my development, and he like really believed in this guy. His name's Mark Sprague.
Okay.
And we'd have a 3-hour practice. It was like 3 to 6 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Then we would drive home that night, get back late. I'd go to school the next day, Wednesday. Thursday would come, do the same thing on Thursday. Wow. And before I was like, when I would get in the car, it was, you got to watch wrestling videos, eat your lunch, watch wrestling videos. And then you can do whatever you want after that,
Man.
So then on Saturdays we'd go again, and it was a 5-hour practice.
No way.
This is elementary school. So then middle school comes, and I'm waking up at 5:15 in the morning, Monday through Friday, and we're lifting Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and we're doing agility Tuesday, Thursday. Dude. And then we're working out again in the afternoon.
That's crazy.
And then let's say I have to cut weight, like get weight off.
Weight?
I mean, it's just a little bit.
Okay, you weren't hammer.
No, my dad wasn't like that,
That's
which I think is why I've actually always had a passion for the sport.
Sure.
He never it was his approach to things, which also I think is the reason why I've been able to love the work that I'm doing, is he would always ask me my goals. And I remember, like, what do you want to do? Like, what are you trying to accomplish? And I remember, like, middle school, I was like, oh, well, I want to be a 3-time state champ. Like, that was a big thing. I don't know if it even been done in Oregon. Maybe it had by, like, 1 or 2 guys. Okay. But it was like, I want to be that guy. Mm-hmm. So he's like, okay, like, we're going to work you to be that way.
Yeah.
And so, it would suck. And I would be, like, dying. But it was like, I was bought in and, like, okay, he says this is what I want to, like, he's asked me. This is my choice. Mm-hmm. So in that way, the relationship was really good.
Yeah.
And I really fell in love with wrestling going into high school because I always thought I was going to be a football player. I wanted to be a football player. Mm-hmm. And then I was 5'9" and 125 pounds my freshman year. And well, that's out the window.
Right. Yep.
These guys were playing football against an inner city Portland, and dudes are running 4.40s.
Yeah.
It's 220 pounds.
It's different. Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah, for sure.
So it was like, all right, I'm going to be a wrestler.
Yeah. So having that upbringing, and it sounds very, I don't know if your dad knew Kerry Colette's story prior to him doing that, but I'm not sure if you know his story or not, but it's very similar in the sense, well, Kerry's dad never had wrestled, but Kerry got involved in wrestling, and he had asked him his goals, and he said, I want to be the best. And he said, don't say it unless you mean it. And he said, do you mean it? He's like, yeah. And from that point forward, a lot of people saw what Kerry's dad did as abuse. And you have to watch and hear his story because there's some very interesting training tactics. But what I gather from what your dad is like, he wanted to hold you to that goal and help you achieve it. At any point during that time, and I'm sure being a kid, it probably happened. Did you get that burnout? Did you get that point where you didn't want to do it?
Never.
Really?
Yeah, it was just crazy. I never got it, ever. And so I think what he did really well, just my mom and my dad, is they would make sure that I had a lot of time off when wrestling season was over.
Oh, so you got the season. So you didn't have to do the year round.
No. So I would take off a couple months.
Yeah.
And so that was really balanced. It was really good. And he would keep me off the mat,
Yeah.
where I was almost like, hey, I want to get back to wrestling.
Okay. That does help. For sure.
Yeah, what are we doing? Yeah. But we'd be training in the summer too, but it wasn't wrestling. So it wasn't like we weren't training. I was always training.
Yeah.
But we it was just outside. We were doing sprints outside. We were lifting and at that point, I still thought I was going to be playing football. So it was a lot of football
right.
and, just a lot of like little drills and stuff.
Which he loved football too. So it wasn't like he was like not supportive of that. He loved football. But what made your dad buy into wrestling so much?
So I don't know. I think maybe my success early on, and then.
So you had success pretty early?
Just, so I wasn't ever the best kid, but I was always up there, like top 3, 5 or whatever. After a while, I wasn't placing for a little bit, and then I think that like kind of burned something in him, and it was like, oh, let's get to work.
Yeah.
And then I started doing well, and I think that was the the whole Mark Sprague situation in Portland, I started seeing results after that. So really committed to that. And then, yeah, man, I mean, I was always 2 or 3. We have a trophy room in my house, and it makes me sick how many second and third place. I think Reno Worlds there was like, I taken second there like 6 times.
Wow.
And it was like, dude, I can't win this tournament. Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
But yeah, I was always behind somebody, but I knew I was good. So it was always like I was almost there, but I wasn't there.
Right.
So it just like, and me, I'm naturally really, really competitive.
Yeah.
And not like, I think some people say they're competitive, but like it burned me when I was young. You know, it was like
from early on.
It was like, I want to work.
Competitive house though, dad competitive?
Crazy competitive.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. Same with my dad. And I think that is a learned trait. I don't know about, you're a psychology major, and we'll get to more of the college and stuff like that, but it feels to me like that's something that part of it is probably maybe DNA, but I feel like I watched my dad be competitive, and then plus just since the fact that he wanted me competitive, which made me competitive, you know?
Yeah.
I was a little guy. I mean, as small as they possibly come. I don't think I did not break 5 foot until my freshman year.
Oh, wow.
Like I was super small. I like I was born too much premature and all kinds of crazy stuff. So I was really underdeveloped forever. Loved football, right?
Yeah.
Loved basketball, loved all these things, but I did them all, but I had to work. It felt like 100 times harder to do what everybody else was doing, which in return made me hyper competitive and just a really hard worker. My 8th grade year, I was 4 foot something or whatever, and I was playing free safety, and I got defensive player of the year, and I literally did not. I had to take weight gainer my 7th grade year to make the minimum weight class in wrestling.
Wow.
So I was so tiny.
Peanut.
But that again, the competitive side, my dad helped foster that.
Yeah.
You'd always say, doesn't matter how small you are, doesn't matter these things. What's in you, your heart, your mind it's the thing that's going to make you great.
Yeah.
And knowing that he thought that made me think that.
Yeah.
And I was like, he believes in me, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
You know, it seems similar.
Very similar.
Yeah.
And I think whenever I was doing something like those hill sprints or waking up at 5:15, it wasn't like my dad was waking me up and then he was hitting the hay. You know,
he was there.
He was there doing it.
Yeah.
And he was working harder than me. And it was like he would mess with me in high school of like, you know, he's out doing more pull-ups or doing more, and I'm like, dude, this guy, like, screw this guy, he's so old. You know, or like, in the sprints, he was doing them there with me. And he was like, I saw him breaking himself.
Wow.
While I'm crying or whatever, but it was like, no, like there was something to that I was drawn to. And then there was the pull me in and ask me about my goals. What do you want to do?
Yep.
You want to be successful? Well, this is what you got to do. And, you know, he had a little taste of success. And so, I mean, I trusted him in that way. And it was just like, okay, like this guy's by my side doing it. And I think that like stemmed into my career of with coaches, and I think maybe just authority in general.
Makes sense.
If someone's not doing what they're talking about, or like I sense that they're not about it in the way that I'm trying to be, it's like I don't mesh well with those people.
Makes sense.
You know, it's like I want somebody right beside me that's grinding with me, that I know he knows what he's talking about when he's telling me that. Not somebody drawing up plays in the sand and it's like, go ahead and do this. Like, let's see how this works. You know, I don't buy into that stuff.
That makes a lot of sense. And I think for all the dads that are listening out there, I think, and I would agree, my dad was right there with me. Yeah. My dad never wrestled, but he was one of my wrestling partners in high school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, you know, he was bigger than me. He would give me a different look, but he got good at wrestling for me.
Yeah. Wow.
You know, which is crazy.
That's
crazy.
Know?
But that, now me and my dad butted heads a lot, because when you have a competitive home and and he wants, it seems at times he wanted it more than me, even though it's not truth. It was just because he saw more than I saw at that moment, right? His insight and his foresight and everything that he had was better than mine. You know, I was worried about my girlfriend. I was worried about going with my friends, and you know, I couldn't eat McDonald's or whatever may be the case. He saw more for me. Yeah. But all the dads that are listening, being invested and also being involved is very important. And you're had so much success. And would you say that your dad's a major player in the success that you had?
Oh, major player. Yeah, the foundation. Yeah. And so, the foundation of that whole start in the beginning. And my mom is like the non-competitive side, the loving side that was like,
Had to have it though.
yeah, don't push him too hard.
Yeah.
You know, like let's go get some sweets, and it was like that kind of thing. So it was like a good balance in the house.
Yeah.
And then when I went off to college, Manning was the same way. He's the guy that was doing like he's in the classic. You show up to practice and he's on the air dyne already for 40 minutes, and he's already got a workout and he's burned 1,000 calories before a workout started. You know?
It's awesome.
It's like that guy.
Yeah.
So like I think that kind of bought me in too. And then I got really close with Brian Snyder, and one of the reasons we're so close is we wrestled so much.
Yep.
You know, and then the relationship grew outside of wrestling, but like he was the guy beating me up most of the time. You know, and he's the guy that gave me my nickname Pup, and it was the reason because he would always you're still just a pup. You know, when he beat me up. And so even though like I hated those things, but it was like these guys are in there doing the things with me, and I trust what they're doing.
Buy in.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah. So and that's I think stems from what my dad did.
That's good.
Yeah.
So you had success pretty early on the mat. How did that affect? I mean, you had I would say it's a very non-traditional childhood in the sense that you're putting in work that most kids, I mean, 99% of the kids aren't waking up that early. They're not doing the sprints. They're not going to the weight room. What type of what did the school look like? What friendships look like? Could you relate to kids? Did you have close friends? Because I mean, I could see it. There might be an issue there where you're looking around going, "My buddies are doing this stuff."
Yeah. So yeah, I actually had a pretty diverse group of friends, which has always been really cool for me. Is some of my favorite people are outside of wrestling.
Oh, nice.
And then I mean, in high school it was like basketball players, football players, and then a lot of my closer friends. My best friend back home was a wrestler. He was doing everything with me. And so when wrestling season would come and I'm cutting weight, then we can't. So we would be able to go off campus. We would go get lunch with, and it was like the thing, like all the cool kids and the girls are there, and like everyone's out. So it's like And then like wrestling season come around, you're like, dang, dude, can't do this. And so we'd have like our lunch, and then me and my best friend, we'd go up to the wrestling room, and we just chill in the wrestling room during lunch, get away from everything. So we really had a close relationship that way. But outside of wrestling, I was like, I was a part of all the all the different And so that was good because in college, same way.
Yeah.
I lived with wrestlers for a while, and then the last half of my career, or more than half, I lived with non-wrestlers.
Okay.
And it was the best decision I ever made. I lived with two ex-golfers, and a guy that was an assistant coach on the volleyball team in Nebraska.
Nice.
And so they were my buddies, and they liked me for who I was.
Right. And
so I would go out and lose. Let's say I lose a match to Jason Nolf, and I'm crushed from a home duel, and I'd come home. They don't even know about it. How'd it go? Oh, well, I got stomped. All right, let's go. You want to go get dinner? It's like they didn't care.
Yeah.
They didn't care about wrestling. So they kept me loose, kept me like, all right, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, I think wrestlers have a certain mentality. We understand one another because we go through the same things. But I could definitely see having a break from that, and being able just to, like you said, enjoy a movie and just not even talk. And it's because here's the thing: if you and I go to a meet and I underperform and I don't do well, and we go back, we don't even have to talk about it. We know we're both thinking about it, right? We're both thinking about our matches. We're both thinking there's a tension in the room because we didn't wrestle well or whatever. I love the fact you had people that wasn't even involved.
Wasn't even a thing.
Yeah. That's cool. So in high school, that was kind of your thing. But I also think, and I have a theory here. So this podcast is about the success we find on the mat and how it translates to life. I believe that there's some things in wrestling and in combat sports that we get or they're such great tools for life. One, in high school, I know wrestling helped me with confidence.
Yeah.
Like I was able to, because I was in a room where I had to, assert myself, and I also was humbled daily. There was this massive dose of humility aligned with hard work and payoff that I was able to go out and mingle with people and talk to people. Unlike a lot of my friends socially were like, how do you talk to everybody? I'm like, because it's easy. Again, Dan Gable's, once you wrestle, everything else is easy.
Sure.
I think in that sense it was.
Yeah.
Like nothing felt like a wrestling match to me. Like wrestling was like, oh, this is so intense. Everybody's looking at me. If I lose, it's embarrassing. If I walk up to this girl and I talk to her and she don't talk to me, who cares? Move on. Next, right? Yeah. Did you kind of have that sense too? It's just like this freedom outside of the mat. I mean,
so I maybe not as early on as what it sounds like for you, because I was very much obsessed in high school, college, and there was a lot of
with
these,
wrestling, you're saying?
Yeah, with wrestling.
Yeah.
And so a lot of these goals, so I'm very goal oriented.
Mm-hmm.
And so like there was very specific things I was trying to do in high school.
Yeah.
So I was,
you were much more keyed in than I was.
yeah,
For sure.
So, and I was just hyper focused, like, it related to like, you know, I wasn't doing the things that other people were doing all the time. And like, I was saying no to things, and I wasn't able to go out with friends. And then, like, you know, certain events are coming up in the summer, and I'm training while all my buddies are out at the lake. Or I was from a mountain town too, you know, like people are hitting the slopes or whatever. Like there's stuff close by. And I was in the room training, you know? And so, because I wanted to do these certain things, and then college came, and it was like, everything was wrapped around being a national champ. Like, everything is focused on that, you know? And then I went through like different waves of like how I thought that should be approached. But it was all, it was the only thing in the back of my mind. Like something that like, what did Tyler think about every day and throughout college? It wasn't school, it wasn't girls, it was like, I want to be a national champ. Like everything that I'm doing is somehow like, maybe I'm taking a day off, or like, maybe I'm like, whatever, it's off season, but like in the back of my mind, there's always something I'm like, what should I be doing? Like, how am I going to catch these guys? Then when I got out of college, I think the mix of coaching and just being, there was a weird transition after college of, with COVID and the Olympic year. So I had to go up a weight, and then I was getting beat. I didn't even place in a couple tournaments. And so I just kind of was like, you know, like off it's in a back burner kind of deal.
Yeah.
But then I was also coaching. So I was like, I got to stay focused. Like I got to try to help these guys get better. And so I was kind of just like whatever, he's off to the side. And then when this year came around, 70 kilos came back, and then I had some success. But after all that, it was just like, there was a relief of like pressure, I guess, which it was frustrating going through it when I wasn't doing the things that I thought I was capable of.
Sure.
But there was almost like, I was around the senior level guys more too, and like guys that I would compete against in college. And it's just like, we talk about it at the Olympic Training Center. This morning I worked out with Jason Nolf, and it was like, if you were to ask me if I would ever roll with Jason Nolf in college, it was like,
right,
dude, what?
Yeah.
Are you insane? But now it'd be weird. It'd be weird if I still had like, no, we're here to get better.
That's it.
We're also grown men.
Yep.
Married, kids, whatever stage of life. But like, we know this is going to end at some point. Like everyone every year is like going out of the sport, and it's like, listen, there's a lot of good people here in wrestling. And so like, let's enjoy these relationships. And that's what, for me, I've grown in that, because I was separating myself from that before. Cause it was like
hyper competitive,
me against the world. Like, I'm going to go do these things. These are my goals, and I'm going to get it. I don't care who is in the way. Like, and so, I think I've grown in that.
That's good. That's good.
The confidence around that, like what you were talking about, that's kind of grown now. It's like, okay, I've kind of settled into who I am as a person.
Yeah.
And I know wrestling is something that I do, but the confidence now just of like, okay, I'm trying to develop as a human being, and all those things now are easier. Sure. Introducing myself, talking with people, having these conversations. You know, someone that has a big name, it's like, it's not that big of a deal. You're a human being. I'm around some of the best dudes in the world in this sport, and it's not a big deal. They're normal people.
Absolutely.
You know, so that's kind of humbled me.
That's good. And looking back, because I mean, obviously very competitive, very focused. Do you feel like you were better because of the focus and because of the intensity? Or do you feel like, and this is hindsight, this is always just theory, but do you feel like if you would have been like a little more relaxed and a little more, you know, not bypassing the goals, but not as intense, do you feel like you would have had a little more freedom and had more success? Or how do you see it now?
For sure. I think I would have had more success. At the very least, I think I would have enjoyed the sport more. In college, I put a lot of pressure on myself. So it was almost, Tervel Delagnov is like, he's a wizard, dude.
Yeah.
You could listen to this guy talk all day.
Yeah.
He talks about it in like, if all you're thinking about when you're wrestling is you're just waiting for it to be done and you're relieved when this match is over, like you got to change something in your mindset.
That's
like,
right.
If you were to ask me, like, do you love wrestling? Well, yeah, I love wrestling. So you love it when you're in the middle of competition. It was like, well, like if I was honest with this, it's like, well, I am, like, I'm very stressed. Like the whole lead up to it, I'm thinking, I'm like, what happens if I lose? What happens if I lose in front of all my friends? Or like if I get pinned, or what happens if this guy that's ranked lower than me beats me? And like, what are people going to think? Am I not as good as what I think I am? All this stuff. So it was like, I was really stressed, and then the competition would come, and then I'd be stressed, and then I'd get through these matches. And, I had a pretty good career, and I would beat good guys, but it wasn't like I was enjoying the process all the time. It was oh, thank goodness, I beat that guy.
Yeah.
Like, thank goodness. Now people are going to still think I'm good.
Yeah. And I think personally, I believe that we wrestlers, we hang our hat on some really good things. But we also hang our hat on some stuff that I think that is kind of detrimental to our success. And one of those is, and we say this is a saying that I say in my own wrestling room, and we say around, is like, become comfortable in uncomfortable situations, and this isn't our term, but embrace the suck, like we want it to be terrible. But if we're actually enjoying it, right? And that's the question. Do you enjoy practice? Do you enjoy the competition? Are you really having fun?
Yeah.
And if we could really come back to like, listen, we really, really love this. And yes, there's one guy that I've talked to on the podcast that I think actually did have a lot of fun wrestling. Well, there's a couple, but one that stands out, and that's Johnny DeGilius.
Okay. Yeah.
Johnny has fun, right? Yeah. And he didn't have he said, he goes, I didn't maybe have the success that some. He goes, his training partner was Nate Tomasello, right? Yeah. He said Nate, all he thought about was being a champion. He literally, he goes, one time I asked him, he goes, Nate, what's your Achilles heel? What's the bad thing you do? And he said, Nate sit there and thought about it for a minute. He goes, sometimes I like to eat cake. And he said, but Nate was, his only focus was being a champion. Everything was about being a champion. He goes, and I'm sure Nate loves wrestling, but Johnny, he loved it as well. But he just decided, I'm gonna have fun.
Yeah.
And he found wrestling, at a time in his life, and it helped him through a really tough time when he lost his mom. And so it was one of those things where I'm just gonna get after it and have fun. But there's two schools of thought there. I mean, you've both had success. You've had incredible success on the mat. I just want to know, as these kids and these other people listening, is like, going back, do you think that you would have had a little more fun with it, or you think that the intensity was appropriate? And
that's the thing. It's actually funny you brought up Nathan Tomasello. I trained in Oklahoma for a few weeks this year, and I was living with Tomasello. And he's like the best guy in the world.
He's awesome.
But he's so disciplined, and he's a grinder in all areas of his life. That just makes me laugh. The cake is so funny. It's so him. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think just different personalities. Like some guys get away with so actually in college, I was roommate with Eric Montoya, 133 pounder, a couple time All-American for Nebraska, and not really recruited. Like he was a 4-time state champion in New Mexico, not really recruited to a lot of schools, whatever. He is a typical guy that worked his way up to where he got. Yeah. I mean, in every sense of the word. Yep. And one of the most intense dudes I've ever been around. I lived with them, and it was all this guy did was train and watch wrestling and think about getting better. And his mind for the sport was crazy. He's a nut, and he wants to hurt people. Like he wants to see people in pain. Yeah, and he wants to break. Like in every, and he lives it. Yeah. And it's a little crazy sometimes when you see it in person.
There's levels to it all, right?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And so this guy elevated my intensity. And so I think I almost tried to be like him.
I gotcha.
Because I saw how it was working for him, and it worked. And it was just, he was the kind of guy I liked looking at him as a competitor and being like, this dude is as genuine a competitor in all areas, like practice room. I mean, there's FUs getting thrown out. He's willing to throw, you just get crazy. Yeah. But he was just wanted to win. Right. And that worked for him.
Sure.
I don't think that's how I'm built now that I'm older and competing. And I don't think that's how many people are built.
Right.
I think if you can find, I mean,
It's the balance.
yeah, the balance and the finding yourself, like knowing who you are outside of the sport makes it easier to go out there and know that your identity isn't attached to the wins and the losses.
Right.
Because even if you are winning, like what's going to happen when you lose?
Right.
Or, you know, like this weird idea of like, what are people going to think about me if I lose? Or like, if I'm not good at wrestling, like they're not going to like me anymore. This is another Terrell thing. He says that wrestling has this weird way of making you think you're not a good person if you lose at wrestling matches.
Yeah, it does.
You know, because you're like, I'm so soft, like I'm not very tough, which means like I'm not like a good person, like I can't hang out with these people. You know, it's like this, you get in this weird spiral.
You're
of
right.
Like, what in the world is going on?
That's so true.
And it's not that way. Like if you see guys being around the competitors that they lose, it sucks. They don't want to lose.
Yep.
They can drop it. They can move on, have fun with friends, come back and train their butt off, come back and win. You know, like there's that progression and it's like, oh, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
And then I feel like those guys go way up.
True.
And I think looking around at programs, I think Penn State does that really well.
Yeah, for sure. And I was going to say, I was as a wrestler, I wasn't the most maybe skilled. I didn't have. We weren't a great wrestling school, things of that nature. The one thing that I kind of prided myself on was nobody's going to outwork me, and I was going to be physical, right? But back when I went to school, Iowa was gold, man, and they were mean, right? And so I didn't know how to wrestle, but I knew how to be mean.
Yeah.
I'm from a little redneck town. I was a little, wild kid. And so it was like, I wanted to pick a fight every time I was on the mat.
Yeah.
You know? And so I understand that side of it. And I think that for me, that's why I had any success. So I had to have that to a certain degree. But like you said, there is a balance because what happened was there was moments where I did not like the sport.
Okay.
Because I was constantly in a fight.
Yeah.
You know, it was so much riding on me, and I had that. If I didn't perform well or I didn't win, you know, everything was riding on that.
Yeah.
You know, And so I think there is a balance, but I gotta say, watching the Brands brothers come up, watching Lincoln however you say his last name, McAberry, and all these incredible Iowa wrestlers that are just mean. I love that.
Yeah.
But the evolution of the sport, you look at Penn State. It's like those dudes are just having a good time.
Yeah.
There's a flow with them.
Yeah.
And they're the best in the world right now, it seems, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, all that to say is I think it's both, you know.
Yeah. And that's what I think for me, I still, one of my favorite things about the sport is so there is a side of me that like I try to be very nice and very kind outside of the sport. But one of my favorite things about wrestling is I enjoy the breaking process of another man.
Yeah.
Like I love that.
Yeah.
And so there is almost like a dark side to that of like, there's a reason why I love wrestling. And it's not because I just want to hit some sweet moves.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
I like putting my hands on somebody and them feeling the pain of what I can do to them and manipulating them. And then that mind game of like, I like seeing a guy take a deep breath and then I just put one on him, you know? And, you know, I like hitting guys in the face. Like I like shooting through a guy's face and then they get a bloody nose. It's like, yeah, all right, let's get it.
Yeah.
You know? So there is kind of that crazy, like I like that side of the sport.
Me too.
But there has to be that separation.
Sure.
Because I can't be like that.
No.
Outside of the sport.
Yeah,
you know?
no.
That's where you get some weird, like, you know, the wrestlers are some weird people, you know?
For sure.
And then that's the balance part of it. And you got to be able to flip that switch.
Yeah. I think that's the most important thing is to know when it's supposed to be there and when to turn it off and to be able to interact and have that social skill. You know, I will say this. I think that wrestling in general, we are kind of a subculture, right? We're this cult kind of vibe,
For sure.
To us, some of us are like, we hang our hat out like that's awesome. We're wrestlers, you know?
Yeah.
And you can, I mean, literally though, what's cool about it is I can be at an airplane. I look over to do with the cauliflower and I'm like, we can talk the rest of the flight, you know, like we're already bonded. We got this thing. But what I think, in my opinion, when we do that, it's what's kept the sport from growing.
Yeah.
It's because you got the best people. For those, we haven't even really said it, but we're in Colorado Springs Olympic Training Center.
Yep.
Best people in the United States training over there right now. Majority of them, we could take the whole team into Colorado Springs down here, walk around, and maybe a couple people come up to a couple wrestlers and be like, "Oh, hey, you're, this, whatever. You're Jordan Burroughs. And they would know whatever." I couldn't walk from here to my car with Jake Paul and not a bunch of people. Why? It's marketing, and it's knowing what you're doing, right? It's having a personality that outside of the business.
Yeah,
wrestlers, I think, pride themselves on it's our thing.
Yeah,
like that's why I'm partly why I'm doing this podcast is because we have a cool thing.
Yeah,
and the rest of the world needs to know that they can learn from this sport and that it's a cool thing. And I just hope that wrestlers will see this and go, because, I mean, dude, a few years ago, we almost got cut from the Olympics. What in the world? How does that even a conversation?
Yeah.
Like if you can keep polishing ice in the Olympics, but possibly cutting wrestling, like it's because, again, we can't just exist in the shadows.
Yeah.
We gotta be able to turn that switch off and turn on the marketing, turn down on the personalities, and be, if I was Jordan Burroughs' PR guy, he would get so tired of me with a camera in his face.
Yeah.
Because he's Michael Jordan.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's, Kyle Snyder, he's an incredible, on wrestling, we're like, that's Kyle Snyder. Yeah. Everybody else is like, that's a big dude.
Yeah, who is that guy?
But what I'm saying? Yeah, he's a big old boy. but he could deadlift some, and I think that's what we have to do to grow the sport.
Yeah.
We have to let people look into it. And we also have to go, this dude is cool. Yeah. Right? This guy is cool. So let's show the world who Tyler Berger is.
Yeah.
Let's let them see, okay, well, Tyler Berger, he's got these accolades, and like, oh, looks like he wears tights and rolls around with guys.
Yeah.
Like that's what the outside world thinks, right?
Yeah.
So all what I'm saying there is, you're right. We have to find that switch, but we as wrestlers have to know that we are needed outside the mat as much as we are needed on mat if we want this sport to grow.
Yeah. That's a really good point. Because I mean that's even like the next level of kind of like that separating. And yeah, because I mean, wrestlers in general were just a bunch of meatballs.
Yeah,
in general.
Yeah.
So it is that integration into society is difficult for a lot of people.
It is. You don't need everybody, because I'm telling you, there's some wrestlers we don't need to put a microphone in front of. Just keep them quiet. They can stay part of the cult. Do their thing. Yeah. But there's some, I mean, and I love what Johnny's doing. Johnny, he said in the podcast he's a wrestler first, but this dude right now, he is living at Jake Paul's mansion in Miami. He's part of the new Better. It's called bettersports.com. Give him a plug here.
Yeah.
It's a new betting platform. He's over their, extreme sports division, but Johnny is an ambassador for wrestling.
Yeah,
we better cheerlead that dude.
Yeah,
as much as we can, because he's got the camera on him right now.
Yeah.
Like, so that's the best thing that can happen for it. It's not like, oh, Johnny's crazy. No, he's not crazy. Johnny is our face right now.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a cool guy.
Let's rock with that.
Yeah.
He's got the mic. Let him go, and Johnny, he would love to hype this sport up. It's funny because Johnny, he's doing all these crazy things, all this wild stuff. And if he was sitting there, he would say, it's all cool, but I'm a wrestler.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Reese Humphrey's dropping an album. Let's rock that. It's so cool. So awesome. And whatever you're doing, like we just got to understand that there's more. If we want it to continue, we have to do better.
Yeah. I agree with that for sure. I think fighting has helped elevate. I think that awareness. And I've always been really intrigued with them of how kind of that balance that we're talking about is because they can put on a show of this facade of who they are.
Yeah.
And I've always been really interested in how they can keep kind of what we were just talking about of how, I mean, if you lose a fight, I mean, wrestling match is one thing, but if another man can beat you up, mm-hmm. I mean, that's like the sport,
mm-hmm.
how, I don't know how they handle the hype of the press, and they have to show themselves in a certain light that maybe is not them, and then they can get beat up in front of millions of people, and then they still have to have this facade, or you go away.
Yeah, dude.
I don't know how that happens.
No, what was it? It was Dustin. I think it's Dustin
Poirier.
Yeah, I think it's Dustin. He was literally told, "This is your last fight."
Colby Covington.
Was it Colby? Yeah, it was Colby.
Covington.
It was Colby.
Yeah.
It's your last fight.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. Right?
It was in Brazil.
In Brazil.
Yeah.
And the dude reinvents himself.
Yep.
And genius, right? Like nobody cared about Kobe. It was like, whatever. He's whatever fighter. He's pretty good. But then he becomes the bad boy, the outlaw, and some of it's theatrics and whatever. But the point is, the dude is now massive.
Yeah.
I mean, massive. And plus, not to mention, he made. That's what I get. So wrestlers are like, oh, we don't get paid. There's no money. You're boring.
Who's gonna be the guy?
Who's gonna pay you to be boring?
Yeah.
Like we hyped up a couple wrestling matches, in the past. I'll tell you, Rudis is doing a really good job, by the way. Rudis is putting on some pretty good shows, and they're doing some good stuff. But we hyped up before that stuff. We hyped up some wrestling matches, and they were supposed to be these, this team versus this team, and this, and this. And you get the press conference, and it was like, yeah, we hope to go out there and, I'm gonna try to. I'm like. Turn it off. Turn it off. Yeah. Like
it's the interview you've heard a million times.
Yeah, we're gonna take some shots, and it's like, of course, like I don't care. Jaden Cox needs to be like, yo, I'm about to rip Kyle Snyder's head off. Like we are boys, but we're not gonna be boys. Like I'm tired of Captain America. I'm tired of all this stuff. I'm tired of your Thanos shoes. I'm tired of it all. I am about to come at you, boy, and like make it. And then obviously Kyle knows, and he's like, bring it. Like that starts. And I'm not saying fake it, but have a little fun with it.
Little theatrics.
Have a little fun with it. If you want paychecks, you gotta have viewers.
Yeah.
The 14 people in the gym is not going to get you a paycheck.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm glad I got you in the room. We can talk about this. And it's just one of those things that I love the sport so much, and there's so much potential. And it's kind of like, I'm at the age now where I'm the dad, I'm the old man. And I'm like seeing my kid here, these younger wrestlers. And I'm like, I want you to do so much more than, my son-in-law wrestles at the University of Nebraska now. And I'm like, I want to see you be able to. He wants to make this his life.
Yeah.
I want that as a possibility for him.
Yeah.
Things got to change.
Yeah. Well, and just kind of that similar thread of this is with guys that if you want to grow the sport, if you want to have a little bit more theatrics in the sport, you want to be personable, there is a key to all of this at the end of the day is if you go out and you're wrestling, and this has to do with the confidence thing, this has to do with the pressure of all this stuff. If you go out and you're a 3-2 wrestler, guess what? It doesn't matter if we love wrestling or hate wrestling. Nobody wants to watch it.
Nobody wants to watch it. Nobody.
And of course, like I was the same way. Like I did everything that I just talked about. Like I had so much pressure on myself. So I was like, oh my gosh, I'm just worried about winning. And then I'd win 5-2 against a nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to watch that.
Yeah.
Like I would switch next football, fighting, whatever.
Yeah.
And there has to be a level of excitement. And if you're going to be that guy, if you're going to be the guy that breaks the door down, then you better be the dude that's laying it on the line when the lights are on.
Yeah. That's it.
You can't have the fear of losing when you're out there. Because people see it. There's like a genuineness about it. Like,
that's good. I like that.
When Conor McGregor's talking and he was doing all this stuff, well, before there's a down.
Yeah,
now there's a down. But before he was saying all these things.
Yeah.
But he was doing them. Which was it was blowing everybody's mind.
Yeah.
I'm gonna knock this dude out in the first round.
Yep.
Go out and knock him out in the first round.
Yep.
Nobody thought it was possible. And it was like, oh my gosh, this guy, he can just make things happen.
Right.
And it's just like that his swag when he come into the ring. And Conor's a guy that's won every 30 years. I was actually thinking about this the other day. I was like, who in sports has done things like Conor McGregor? And so like names, Allen Iverson came to mind. Obviously Jordan.
Yeah.
Muhammad Ali. Yeah. And I'm just like, I don't know if you can think of any. I'm just like, there are some key players. Not very often.
Right.
They're not very often.
You're right.
And Jordan is definitely one of those guys in wrestling.
Yeah. Doesn't say he's one of those guys that's done stuff that most other people or no other person's done.
Yeah.
You know?
And everybody likes watching him wrestle.
Yeah, because he's going to blow somebody's face up.
He'll smash a dude's face.
Dude hit in the match against Chance.
Yeah.
It looked like they were UFC fighters. They're both bleeding.
Yeah.
You know, like I couldn't get enough of that.
You didn't even have to know what wrestling was to enjoy that.
You turn it on and you're like, there's two dudes bleeding. And
Yeah.
I'm watching.
Yeah.
Like, that's what the sport needs. And again, that's why if I'm his PR guy, cameras in his face 20
him up, dude.
because listen, the dude's also cool.
Yeah, he's an awesome guy.
He's an awesome guy. He does cool stuff. He's got a great family. They're good looking people. Like, come on. If I'm USA Wrestling, give the dude $1 million contract.
Yeah, right. Get
And
some
just
money in that dude's
and
pocket.
just hey man, we're going to make you're basically going to be a reality TVA star for us. Meaning we're going to get the best content, but we're going to keep your personal life and stuff or whatever. Obviously be respectful.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, that guy's marketable.
Yeah.
I mean, if Polo says you could be our model,
Yeah.
which he was at one point,
Yeah.
that's a big, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and he's so internationally known. You know, it's just one of those things.
That it's internationally known. This is one of the craziest things I've ever seen in wrestling. Was in Kazakhstan in 2019. These people were crazy for Jordan, and
Because wrestling is like football, basketball.
exactly.
Yeah.
And you hear about like how Iran loves Jordan.
Yeah.
I mean, they go crazy for him. And so in Kazakhstan, we would be walking to practice, and we had to cross a street. There would be people pulling over their car to get out to say hi to Jordan.
Rightfully so.
Running to him.
Yes.
There was a crowd when he was leaving the arena one time. There's a crowd of people around the doors where they knew where the athletes exited.
Yeah.
There had to be a formation around these guys because I think Kyle Dake was a part of this and maybe Snyder.
Yeah.
There's people jumping over the like this wall of protectors from USA, jumping over, trying to grab a hat, trying to touch him.
Sick.
Jordan.
Sick.
And
Love
it was like, what is happening?
He's
These
a
are
superstar.
wrestlers.
He's a superstar, though.
Crazy.
Like in my mind, I'm glad Jordan is like Team India. I'm sorry, India. Team USA.
Yeah.
Because he is literally. We talked one time about cars. He's like, I love USA. USA made cars. He's like, I love you. He told me all the cars he's had. And he loves his favorite cars. He's just that guy. He loves United States.
Yeah.
Wrestling and stuff like that. Because honest to God, the dude could probably get a wealthy Iranian guy to write him $1 million checks just to be his ambassador for some company over there. Just do advertising for him easily. Right?
Yeah.
I'm so glad that he's the American guy. But come on, American people, we got to get behind these people. You know, like, and I will say, wrestlers are, and I know I'm biased, we got to be one of, if not but one of the top hardest working athletes that there is, especially since there's not the money, there's not the recognition, there's not those things. These dudes are in a room killing your guys' selves for the sport.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's for nothing else.
Talk about, I mean, if you're third on the ladder, you're getting a few $100 a month.
I know.
It's insane.
It's so like, wild.
You just think like it. I mean, and it's funny because wrestlers, when we see that, we're like, dude, a couple $100.
Yeah, dude.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a few $100. We don't gotta like. That's so sweet.
Yeah.
And then any other sport, you're the top 3 guy.
Oh, yeah.
Brad, dude.
Yeah, you're fine.
But it is the one thing I have seen actually in the last 5 years for wrestling. There is opportunities now to make money.
It's getting better.
It's getting much better, quickly.
But we are getting better as a team too.
True. Yeah.
And I think that there's money. Obviously, people love winners.
Yep.
Right.
That's
So,
right.
but I think that there's still so much room for growth in that. If we endorse ourselves a little better, we get our you're only as valuable as you say you are, right? So if I'm, hey, $100, I'll take it,
Yeah.
But again, you can't ask for more if you're not willing to do more. Like I've owned a few companies, and I say this as nicely as I possibly can. There's not very many wrestlers I'd want repping. Even if I paid them, hey, I'll give you $100 a month to throw my shirt on. I don't want them to because they're so boring.
Yeah.
I don't like come like it's like no, I'll just give you $100 not to wear my shirt. You know, like and I say that as nicely as I possibly can, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You know, we just got to get better there.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
And I think that part of it is as well is that wrestlers are a unique breed, and a lot of times we attract, you know, kids that maybe aren't the football star, you know, sometimes. So maybe part of it is that we got some awkwardness in our groups and stuff like that. But there is a lot of, you know, men and kids that do have incredible personalities that could rep this sport at a massive level. Yeah. You know, I know we went down this rabbit hole a long time, but I just want to see the sport get better in that area for you guys.
And I like, this just came to me, like a guy like Johnny DeJulius or whatever. People, if you're a bum outside of the sport of wrestling, if you're not a good person, if you're lazy, if you're just stay at home when you're like, I don't know, you don't have anything else going on in your life, nobody is attracted to that.
That's right.
People like Johnny DeJulius, because he's jumping off of bridges, he's hanging out with cool people, he's going to different cities all the time, he's doing camps for kids, you know, he's doing all these things.
The right things.
People like Bryce Meredith, like he's doing similar things like that too. And it brings a draw to the sport because it's like, whoa, that guy's good at wrestling and he also does a lot of cool things.
Yes.
Like that is sweet. And so that's something that I've always like, because after wrestling, like I don't want to just be done. Like I don't want to just be like, all right, I'm gonna go to work and come home. It's like, no, like I enjoy traveling. I enjoy like different endeavors to push yourself and like, you know, have those kind of thrills. And you have to find things outside of wrestling, the hobby wise, or I mean, you just kind of fade away and you just drift through life.
For sure. And I think again, this podcast is put together because I believe, again, the principles that we learn on the mat in our sport is so applicable to life, right? So I think that you got the business guy out there, the guy that was a wrestler in high school, right? And wrestling changed his life. It taught him work ethic. It taught him discipline. Now he owns, you know, a company that's doing $10 million a year making these cups or something like that.
Yeah.
That's the story you got to tell. If you're a wrestler and that helped you, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I want the guy that made the glass.
Yeah.
And I want you to go, dude, I made that glass because it was difficult for me to do, but I learned work ethic in wrestling. I was grinding, and that's what we need to hear. People, that makes people go, whoa, man, wrestling, it helped that dude become a multimillionaire.
Yeah.
Let's go, right?
Yep.
I think the guy, I think he created DK or DC or DK bikes or something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's a really nice BMX bike. He's a wrestler. His kids wrestled. I'm like, tell your story.
Yeah.
Be the wrestler that created a cool bike.
Yeah.
You know, like I want those stories because that you don't have to be jumping off of buildings like Johnny. But when you become whatever you're going to be.
Yeah.
I promise you'll be successful because you're applying the principles of wrestling.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're going to be a multimillionaire, it's because you're going to follow the steps that you found success in wrestling.
Yep.
Then tell that story.
Yeah.
You know, it's that simple. It doesn't mean you have to win the worlds and be Jordan to be the guy that's the ambassador for the sport.
Yeah.
A lot of times, like you said, some of your best friends had nothing to do with the sport.
Yeah.
Right? So people are going to hear you. If they hear Tyler's story, they're gonna be like, "Oh, cool! That guy was a great wrestler. Oh yeah, he owns this company," and they're gonna hear that story, and it's gonna be the backstory of the wrestling that they're gonna be like, "Oh wow, that's cool."
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, and that's just people in general that I'm attracted to, as far as like emotionally that I can connect with, are the things that I value outside of the sport of wrestling and that apply to the sport is the same thing that the guy that started his own business and is running it up and has that competitive nature, or the guy like Johnny who's jumping off of bridges doing crazy things because he loves to do it, or a guy that one of my buddies is training for an ultra marathon, like those kind of guys. it's the same. It's the same principles.
thing.
The foundations are the same. That
Yep.
we enjoy the same things. We enjoy the push. We enjoy the determination. You have to sacrifice certain things.
Yep.
Those things are cool.
Yep.
And if you can voice those things and you can get out there and tell people like this is the same thing that you're doing to build a business, same thing I'm doing in
That's
wrestling.
it.
And we're the same people,
What kind of coach can you be to a business owner though, man? Like think about that.
Yeah.
Your skills, you are they say 10,000 hours to be a master or something. You are a master
Yeah.
at this craft that teaches discipline,
Yeah.
that teaches work ethic, that teaches, structure. You could walk into a Fortune 500 business that might be struggling in a department and find out why it's struggling because you can see the infrastructure that's breaking down just because it's relatable. You could coach.
Yeah.
That's a massive skill, but like how many wrestlers are using that? That's what I'm telling Reese Humphrey. I'm telling everybody. I'm like, you need to be on stage.
Yeah.
You need to be telling people these things because you are your master.
Yeah.
Like you can lead people. Like a room full of lawyers can learn so much from just listening to your experience.
Yeah.
They're never going to step on the mat.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but they could pay you $100,000 to teach them the lessons.
Yeah. Well, it's just like you think about the sport of wrestling is, well, this guy's good at wrestling. And then, okay, wait, well, then look at his sleep habits. Then look what he's eating.
That's
and then
it.
and then this guy saunas every day. Why? Well, it makes him better at wrestling.
Yes.
And he's going into the cold. Like what? Like he's doing all these things that he's doing. He's in the sauna. Like he's doing all this stuff because he wants to be better at wrestling.
Yep.
Like what kind of freak? And then you can't tell me that, hey, if you're a lawyer, if you're busy, dude, I could tell you if you're not getting enough sleep, if you're not eating right, you're not working out, like I could tell you all these things,
yep.
and I guarantee you'll be a different person.
Absolutely.
I think wrestlers, maybe they have all these skills, but maybe we don't self-reflect enough to see like why or what are the things that make us great.
Yes.
And then like actually think about those things. And like for me, time is a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Time is one of my biggest assets I focus on of like, I'm going to take care of my time.
Yeah.
And I'm going to protect my time.
Yep.
And I value my time beyond a lot of things. And so like there's priorities that I have.
There's a system.
Yeah. And it's like saying no to things. And like, I have to regulate my time because I'm not going to be the guy that gets strung out on too many things. And then I don't accomplish the goals. Like, again, I'm still very goal oriented and I'm still very focused with a balance, but that's not to say I don't want to win.
Right.
And like anybody can get good at that on the outside of wrestling,
But from 3 years old till you said you're how old now? 26?
26.
26. You have 23 years of experience.
Yeah.
You have a lot to offer the world.
Yeah.
You got to, and I think that's the thing is like we see ourselves as valuable because of how much I won or where I'm competing or what the next competition is. No, bro, you are a master.
Yeah.
At this point, right? So now the price tag of you has to come up. Right. And but it has because it has come from this belief, again, come back to that belief in ourselves and knowing I've done this and there's purpose behind it and I want to share it.
Sure.
When we start doing that, like you think anybody there's less than 1% of people that ever be a Navy SEAL. Yeah. Why do people care about Jocko?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Because he can communicate what he is a master at that can help masses.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so funny. I saw your book collection and I've just started reading Jocko's book.
Which one? Extreme Leadership?
Yeah, Extreme Leadership.
Yeah.
And so and that
or
was
the dichotomy of leadership.
Yeah. It like what he has done is exactly that. A group of guys that are a bunch of probably meatballs.
Yeah.
They have to reflect on what they're doing in order to communicate it like how Jocko does, because the way that he lists it out, that's why he's such a popular author. That's why people love him. Because
they're thirsting for it, bro. The world is so hungry for truth and for leadership, and they feel it. And I speak for a man. We feel the war inside of us.
Yeah.
The fact that you go to war with men every day, 99.99% of men are envious internally of that.
Yeah.
They are looking for a fight.
Yeah.
So for you to be able to sit down in front of a man going, pick a fight.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you how to be a warrior.
Yeah.
I'll tell you how to win.
Yeah.
Dude, just sign people up. That's the thing, and that's what Jocko's doing. most people can't understand what Jocko's seen, what he's done, all these things. But what they do know internally is they need what he's saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
People need what wrestlers know.
Yeah. That's exactly right. I think, yeah, that's spot on, especially with men outside of maybe even athletics. That kind of what I had talked about. The reason that I love wrestling is there is that dark side. And I think a lot of men have that of there is something that we want to fight for. We have that built into us. And a lot of men become neutered by the world.
Absolutely.
And social media and being in a city all the time and you go to Whole Foods to get your food, all like all these different things. So everything is so easy and there's no struggle.
Yeah.
And that's like, so now in this day, and it's a blessing for us in the United States because we don't have the struggle, but there's still the craving for it. Yeah. And so we become weaker because we don't have to. And it's like that saying of it's harder to get out of the bed made out of, what's you put me on the spot. It's harder to get out of the bed with the silk sheets or something like that. Yeah, it's like, you're in the nice, comfortable bed.
Bed, yes.
No, I don't need to get up. I don't need to grind, you know, but then the men that are most marketable, like a guy like Cameron Haynes, a guy like Joe Rogan, Jocko Willink, David Goggins, all these dudes get so blown up and they're pretty basic in what they're saying.
It's all the same.
It's all the same. And they all work their nuts off.
Yes.
And it's like, and it seems like a foreign thing to a lot, like that. It's like what you said about Johnny is like, people are like, that guy's crazy. It's like, no, he's tapping into that, fighting for something, and like doing what it takes. And doing what it takes isn't the social media world of it's going to take 7 days and I'm going to be the best in the world.
Right.
No, dude, it's going to take years. It's going to take decades. Yep. And the thought of starting on day one is really hard for a lot of people. So they just never start. Like, why would I do that? Because it's going to take me 20 years to be the guy, or 10 years, and it's like, oh, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Guess what? Just start on day one.
Start on day one.
Get to day two.
Yep.
And then you're going to start to feel this momentum and this shift. And it's like, oh man, here we go. I feel what they're talking about.
Yep. And I we've been talking about this for probably 20, 30 minutes now, but it's so necessary. Because people like you, I need you. The world needs you to value the skill sets you have, find a way to articulate it.
Yeah.
Teach it, involve other people, create a culture of it, and change people's lives. Yeah. Like, it's necessary. That's why we're here, right? Is to affect other people.
Yeah.
It's wrestling is awesome, but it can become so selfish.
Yeah.
It's too big for us to have for ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's my passion behind it. It's like, man, this sport's too good. Let's stop keeping it a secret. Like, not everybody's, 99% of people are not going to, you say 99 a lot, but 99% of people will never wrestle.
Yeah.
Who cares? We can still teach them.
Yeah.
I don't need to drown to know how to swim.
Yeah.
Right? I want to swim because I want to enjoy it. Yeah. Right? I just, so that's my whole thing. And I want to get to back to you in particular. What philosophies, what psychology, what principles has wrestling taught you? If you can give me just, I know there's a lot, but just give me some of the top ones.
Yeah. So one, I think what I just have, I value time differently because of the sport. Now that I'm professional outside of college, there's no one taking care of me.
Yeah.
My time is very valuable, and I've seen that in the discipline and taking care of that. I think I've learned how to struggle well. So it's actually, that's one of the Penn RTC's values is struggle well. I really attach to that. Because definitely in the sport of wrestling, you're going to get humbled in ways that you're not ready for,
Yeah, for sure.
In ways that you don't want to be as a man.
Yeah.
You don't want to be humbled by another man beating up on you. It sucks, but it's necessary and it refines you. And so, and it's taught me how to put myself in very, very uncomfortable situations often. And it's challenged me in my faith as far as, outside of the sport, just trying to create this, or trying to see what my real identity is outside of wrestling.
That's huge.
Yeah, it's big, man. And wrestling is so, I think any individual sport, any martial art especially,
Yeah,
is very hard not to put your identity into it.
it is.
For all the things that we just said of like you getting beat up by another man is one of the most humiliating things you can possibly be. It could possibly be done to you ever.
Absolutely.
For another man.
And not just beat up. A lot of times it's broke.
Yeah.
It's manhandled. It's in our sport is in the the high school and collegiate level at least is hold you down so you can't move.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is our sport. Like
Yeah.
make you submit to
Yeah.
the to the point you can't move. Like that's humbling.
It's the worst feeling in the world,
Yeah.
especially for a man.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that has showed me, okay, I have to attach my identity to something else.
Yeah.
And that has helped my growth outside of college as well. And it's just, yeah, it's shown me more of the fruit of the sport and how good it can be.
It's good.
And situations especially like this where we're in the Olympic Training Center and I walk in and there's 10, 12 world Olympic champs in the room, numbered national champs. And it's a really cool environment to be in. And all these things that I love about the sport I'm seeing the fruit of it now of just like, wow, I get to work out with these guys and I get to do what I love with literally the best guys in the world. And so it's just super humbling in that way. But yeah, I mean, wrestling's done all those things for me, and it's calmed me too as a person. I think it's given me an outlet to figure out all that darkness in me, all that proudness that I had maybe in college and wanting to attain all these different things that the world could give me. And maybe if I win this, then, when I was single and not married, that girls would be more interested in me. And I want to make more money and I want to be on the top because I want everyone to know that I'm the best. I've worked my whole life for this.
Yeah.
All those different things. And those are all it's all like darkness.
Sure.
That most people don't deal with.
Right.
Because they're not even in the situation to do it.
That's
they
right.
don't even work hard enough to even put themselves in a position to be that great.
That's right.
So they're just they kind of have these things in them. And
well, how much worse is it for a man? Let's just use a man because I can always speak to that.
Yeah.
That doesn't have the ability to work those things out, but yet fills them constantly. That's torture.
It's a scary thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you see a lot of mental illness. You see a lot of horrible things happen from men that haven't been able to.
And I think that's what we're talking about. They haven't been able to work it out. So
they can't.
We could help bridge that gap with knowledge.
Yeah.
That, right? I mean, not everybody's going to go for a world championship like you. Nobody's going to go compete in the nationals like you did. But they can train. They can have the mindset.
Yeah.
Dude, that's healing. That's fruit, man. That's life changing.
Yeah. 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 I mean, yeah, it's you can't learn. So for me, I think the best way to learn is through physical pain. I think there is something to, let's say a doctor or a lawyer with school of the daily grind of studying and all that stuff. I don't think you get the same effects unless you have physical pain in your life of whether just through working out, through training, through sweating, because it exposes so many different areas of the human being that are weak and that are fragile that will turn you into something that you didn't know you didn't even realize it was possible for you to act this way unless you were put under those extreme conditions.
That's right.
And then when those conditions come in the world, whether it be from maybe you are struggling with mental illness or a death of the family or just daily stress in work and life and your kids are yelling and you're stressed and you're like, man, there's a lot going on. If you don't have those tools, you can't apply them to those everyday things.
That's right.
And so, and then there's you go to alcohol to do it, or you go to whatever it is, you have this outlet that's not healthy.
That's right.
And then there's demons, then there's hiding it. And then there, just, it leads to a lot of bad things. And I think it can be taken care a lot of things. And for me, I think where maybe not everyone is on the same path as far as faith, but for me, it's faith. Yeah. And for me, it's the physical pain of me pursuing my goals.
That's good.
Those two things are the most refining things in my life.
Yeah. No, I like that. And we I got a couple sayings that I use that I believe in, and wrestling's taught me this. And I've applied them in my marriage, applied them in my faith, I've applied them raising children, I've applied them on the mat. But I truly believe these things, and you can agree or disagree, and that's fine. But one thing that I say, and I'm sure it's not mine, I'm sure other people said it, but how you do anything is how you do everything. Mm-hmm. Right? So I believe that if you skip out and you do something not so great in this area of your life, it will leak into every area of your life. Mm-hmm. Right? And I think that that's a challenge for us to be consistent.
Yeah.
Right. And I think consistency is one of the most powerful things we have.
Yeah.
And so, and the other thing is I believe that safety is not safe. I believe I believe if we try to live safe, it is not, we end up causing more trouble in our life.
That's good.
Yeah. And the other thing is what you're kind of hitting on. I believe you can get better at suffering. I believe it's a skill.
Yep. And
a reason why I tell you to say that is because, for one, being on the wrestling mat and being a part of that sport and choosing, and I think Tom Ryan wrote a book called Chosen Suffering. I believe that because I can go to the weight room and I can force myself into a position where it hurts.
Yeah.
I can make myself go there and not want to be struggling the whole time. Now, that's not the same as not being able to make your bills and things of that nature. However, when you learn to suffer, it becomes familiar.
Yeah.
So when you feel that feeling of this hurts, you go, I know what this is.
Yeah.
And I know the process to get out of it because I can do this, this, and this. This is what's helped me when I was on the wrestling mat. Stay calm. Don't panic.
Yep.
Don't go get angry. Don't make rash decisions. Be who I know I am consistently through this.
Yeah.
And it will work out. Right? I may not win, but I will get out of the match. I will not maybe get embarrassed as much, but I will come out of this. Right? And so to me, you can learn to suffer better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you hit it on the head with consistency. It's so hard to do something every day.
Yeah.
And if you don't think it's hard, do something every day for a year.
Yeah.
I guarantee you'll figure out how hard it is. And so for me, I did a reading goal one year of read 52 books in the year.
Wow.
One a week. And these ain't Dr. Seuss books. That's the first thing everyone says. You reading Dr. Seuss?
Yeah,
no, these are legit books.
Real books.
And so for me, what it was is I had to do it every single day. And if I missed a day, I knew that there was suffering on the end of it because the next day I'm doubling up, you know? And if I missed another day, then guess what? My whole day is gone because I'm reading all day.
Yeah.
And it just like, one, that's why I'm a big fan of New Year's resolutions. I love them. People say they don't like them.
So you love them. Okay.
I love them.
Nice.
I think they're awesome.
Okay.
Because one, it puts people in a situation, and I don't like vague ones. I'm talking about like something that you're going to have to do every day for a year.
Okay.
And specific.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or something that like you're going to have to, like a weekly goal that you're going to have to hit, that like, even if you're not doing it every day, you're going to have to think about it and be like, well, I know if I mess up, then it's going to like cause me more pain to catch up on whatever goal it is. And so, yeah, so I like to make New Year's resolutions. And so one year was 52 books, and it was the most difficult thing I've probably ever done. It was awful.
Yeah.
In the best way.
In the best way, absolutely.
In the best way.
Yeah.
And so it taught me like, one, it taught me how much time I was wasting.
That's right.
And that's a big thing when I found out about like my principle of taking care of your time. Because guess what? I was wasting a lot of time just messing around, watching TV, social media, literally just laying around being lazy because I didn't want to do anything else. And for me, it became just this like inner competition of like, listen, so about a little over halfway through the year, it was like, I don't ever want to do this. I don't think ever again. Like it was causing me that much pain. I was like, dude, but I've already completed over half of it.
Yeah. Gotta go.
So I'm like, I gotta finish. And if I don't finish now, it's like, I don't know if I'm ever going to do this again. And I can never say I've read a book a week in a year.
Yeah.
So it's just like, all right, let's put your head down. So it was like 2 hours a day, set it aside, figure it out. In the morning, 30 minutes, maybe I had to split it up, do more at lunch, and then a read at night. Or it's just like, you find ways to make time for what you value.
Yep.
And I just, that exposed me in so many ways.
That's good.
And I mean, that's one example, and it's almost a silly example of like, you have time.
Yeah, you do.
have time.
You do.
You can be consistent, and it's really, really, really hard,
Mm-hmm.
but you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
And, reading is something that people say like, oh, I just don't have time. I bet if I followed you around for one day, I could find some time for you.
That's right. That's right.
And that's anything. And if you care about something, you value something, you have these goals, but you're not hitting them, and you're saying you don't have enough time, and there's all this stress. It's like, listen, there's so many people out there. There's so many books written. There's so many mentors that you can find.
That's right.
That I guarantee have a bigger load on their backs than you do.
That's right.
And they're doing way more,
Mm-hmm.
They're just finding time, and they're being consistent.
Yeah.
They're showing up every day.
Yeah.
When other people show up 3 times a week, 4 times a week, and the other guy's showing up 7 days a week.
Yep.
And he's just outworking you, and he's passed you up.
Yep. I think one of the things that you're talking about there, and one of the biggest issues that we have in our culture, it because people they'll make it vague, and they'll say I don't have enough time, or I'm too tired and stuff like that. I think we live in the most uninspired time in the history of the world. People are so uninspired; they're bored out of their minds. Reason why I think that, and I think there's data to back it up, is you pick up someone's phone and you scroll through usage, and you look at social media usage, and you go, they've been on your phone for 6 hours a day, average of 6 hours a day. You cannot be an inspired person and sit around on social media for a full-time job. You can't.
Isn't that crazy?
It's insane.
6 hours a day,
And that's normal. That's normal.
Yeah, it's probably the middle.
That's probably yeah, it is. It is. And I know I'm guilty. I put down I didn't put down social media. What I did, because I do a lot of stuff on social media. What I did is I made a promise to myself that I would stop consistently scrolling.
Okay.
I'll see like my friends top things, whatever, and I'll jump on, see what they're doing. I'll go off, but I will not scroll. I don't sit there and scroll, because I found out I'll just sit there and scroll, and before I know it, an hour's gone.
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's so, but I think it's a lack of inspiration.
Yeah.
If you're going after a world title, you might jump on your phone to decompress for a bit. But bro, the world title is so much more important to you that you're inspired to live a life that's consistent to that.
Yeah.
I think that consistency has to do with inspiration. You have to be inspired. You have to get so inspired to lose weight, so inspired to go after your dreams, that everything else starts to fade away. The scripture says when we are inspired to live the way we're supposed to be living him, that this world becomes strangely dim.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we can become so zoned in and so focused that everything else becomes strangely dim.
Yeah.
We're inspired.
Yeah. Yeah.
Most of us aren't inspired. We're just bored.
Yeah. People don't really know why they're doing things.
No,
there's no why.
No.
They just go through a day, and it's the same thing every day. And there's just, you eat what you eat because, well, I mean, it's just what's there.
Yeah.
I go to bed whenever I'm tired, and, I am tired most days.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm not going to change anything. I'm going to watch TV till super late at night and do all these. And it's like, dude, you're not taking care of anything. You're not trying to be great anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, look at anybody who's been great, and I promise you it's not the way that you're living. Yeah. That's a really good uninspired. It's
interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting. And I heard a pastor say it one time. He said he sat down with one of his buddies, and his buddy was telling him that his daughter was going through some really bad stuff, and she was choosing some bad things. And he's like, I don't know what to do. And the guy's like, well, you're offering a story that's not, it's less intriguing than the story that she's being offered by other things.
Huh.
And he's like, basically inspire her more.
Yeah.
And Jordan just posted something like that. It's like about his kids. He's like, either you give your kids a story worth living for, or the world will give them a less one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Truth.
That's it.
Truth. I mean, I need to, as a dad, I need to inspire my children to live a life that is epic. Because if not, the world's going to say, get a job. Just do whatever.
Yeah. Especially the United States, for sure.
For sure.
Yeah. Because you don't need to work hard to have a nice life.
No, you don't. You can kind of have the picket fence, and that's the thing. The American dream is buy the car, buy the house, work forever to pay it off.
Yeah.
But you at least have the car and the house.
Yeah.
And then eventually you get to retire just to die.
Yeah.
That's just insane to me. Like, that's such an uninspired life,
Yeah.
But wrestling, again, I think that we get an opportunity to be inspired daily in our sport. We get to you chasing dreams or chasing goals, and I think that that's very important in the outside world, is to set those goals, set those dreams, and then stay consistent after them. If you get beat tomorrow, get up the next day and go again.
Yeah.
Consistently go after it. I forget who said it, but they said you can do absolutely anything you want to do in life as long as you stay consistent.
Yeah.
That's truth.
I believe that.
Warren Buffett says the most powerful thing on the planet is compound interest, which is the same. It's just consistency over and over and over and over and over a day. Every day, it just gets reinvested. Compound, compound, compound. Before you know it, you're a rich person invested, a fraction of the money.
Yeah.
Because of consistency.
Yep.
Same in life, right? So you are competing still, and I'm gonna get back to you because we've been talking about all kinds of crazy things. But you went to Nebraska, you competed well there. Tell me a little about that process. What was it like to be a Husker?
So I had nothing but a great experience at Nebraska.
Was it your only goal was to be a Husker? Was that the school that you looked at? Is that
so? No, so I had some offers from elsewhere in high school and narrowed it down to 5. But I think Nebraska was always up there as number 1. I always wanted to wrestle in the Big Ten. I wanted to, obviously I saw Jordan and James, and I idolized them in high school. And I just thought being around those guys were going to make me better.
Sure.
And I wanted to be a part of a program that knew how to produce outside of college.
Yep.
And so then meeting Manning and Snyder, and it was just like, that's what they provided.
Yep.
And they brought the energy too.
Yep.
Like Manning brought the energy right away.
That dude's energy, man.
Yeah.
I watched him on the Aerodyne the other day. I told him, I said, you still got it, don't you? He's like, oh, thanks. I'm like, bro, you're going after it.
He gets after it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And so I get on campus, and it's unlike, I think, many school experiences being at Nebraska, because Nebraska is pretty blue collar state, and there's no professional teams, and everybody loves the Huskers.
They do.
Does not matter where you're from. If you even like in the close vicinity, they're Husker fans.
That's right.
Everywhere.
Yep.
And they love them, especially in Nebraska.
Yeah.
And so you're in this like really unique athlete world, a part of Nebraska, and so there's a lot of money involved in that, and so you get a lot of benefits with that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like I just hit the jackpot when I showed up. I was like, wow, this is insane, man. I mean, you get the whole experience. You get college football games. You get the great college town. You get people who love athletes. It's just like a very good experience. And then being a part of the team at a young age, I think I valued I was okay with being beaten up very often.
So you went in getting your butt kicked.
Yes, and I think this is one of my theories of kids that are going to be good. This is kind of what I gauge kids on, if I think they're going to be good when they first come in, and then how they're going to do when they leave. Is most high school kids aren't good enough when they first come in.
Right.
Most. Some are.
Yeah.
Most aren't. And they're going to come in and they're going to get beat up worse than they've ever been beaten up in their entire life. And there's levels. And there's levels to that, of like, you go into high school and you get beat up. There's something different about the transition to college. There's something different because you have grown men, and there's like this initiation into college wrestling that people have talked about, and everybody has an amazing story about their initiation into college wrestling. It's awesome. Like, it's one of my favorite stories. Like, it's one of my favorite things to ask people about. And because everyone's got one. But you get humiliated in ways, because there's something about a college wrestler. They just don't care about beating up a high school kid. You crave it. Yeah. It's like, I can't wait for the next recruiting class to come in. I'm going to beat the crap out of this kid. You know? And so
rite of passage.
How they handle that is how I look at kids and see, this kid's going to make it or this kid's not. The kids that are scared of that, this kids that shy away from maybe the best guys in the room, because they know They know what's about to happen to them.
Yeah.
They're going to get run up. They're going to get scored 50 to 100 points on them, and they haven't been taken down in 2 years in high school, and they don't like that.
Yeah.
So they shy away, and they go with other freshmen. They go with backups on the team. Those are the kids I don't think are ever going to pan out.
Right.
I think they're going to be a bust. The kids that can handle it well, that when they grab Jordan Burroughs and he scores 1,000 double legs on him, and they come back and they say, "Hey Jordan, can we go tomorrow? Hey Jordan, are you available again?
Yeah.
Hey, can we go again?" And then he just beats him again and again and again and again, and he just, "Hey, let's go." Maybe one day he gets to Jordan's legs for the first time. This was my progression. I got to Jordan's legs for the first time. Oh my gosh, dude, I'm there. Like I'm getting there.
Yeah.
And then it was the first time I scored on him. And then you're just chip away. And that was my progression. It was like I loved it, and I loved the sport. And one of the things I loved most about the sport was that what I told you about, of that I want to break somebody, and I like being deep into that pain, and I like the struggle, and I like long goes in a practice where it's just we just slap hands and we're going to get after it, and we're just going to beat the crap out of each other, and then we're going to slap hands and we're going to go grab some dinner after, I love that about wrestling. But if you can just keep chipping away. And then, so I knew, I was like, okay, and then I got to his legs and I scored, and it's like, okay, I'm going to keep getting better. Keep getting better. And so that was kind of my mentality. And yeah, I think, I don't know what it was. I don't know why I continue to do it, but that was the only thing that helped me get better.
Yeah.
And I could have shied away from that challenge, and I think my career would have looked completely different. I think many guys' careers don't pan out because of that.
Yeah.
And then it ended up panning out really well.
So you enjoyed your stint at Nebraska.
Yeah.
It was a good experience for you. Overall, college wise, how do you look back at it? You love the experience. How do you feel about your career in college? Where do you feel like you fell there? You feel like you accomplished what you needed to accomplish or wanted to accomplish? Or I know as wrestlers only remember the losses.
Yeah.
So I just wonder, kind of where you're at with that.
I didn't get what I wanted.
Yeah.
That's for sure. I wanted to be a national champ.
Yep.
I didn't get that. But I can say that I experienced every level of competition.
Yep.
So, I was in the finals of Big Tens, lost. In the finals of NCAAs, lost. In the finals of Midlands, lost. I was a part of all those big tournaments.
Right.
I made it to the finals of all those. So I was on those stages. I just didn't accomplish what I wanted to accomplish.
We're going to get some rains. You might hear that. I want to ask you a question about that, and I hope it's not too personal, but you told me when you were a kid that you made a lot of finals and you got second.
Yeah.
You just told me in college you made a lot of finals, you got second. Why?
Oh man, dude. So I think this goes with my mentality of I will not keep wrestling if I don't think I'm getting better.
That's right.
So I have seen myself every year of my wrestling. I'm getting better and better and better and better. And I just know. I think this year I've really felt it.
Yeah.
Where I'm on the brink of something really great. And so I refuse to be the guy that got 2 feet away from hitting gold.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be that guy. I'm gonna squeeze out every drop of my potential. I don't know why I've lost. And that
do you see yourself as a champion? Did you and do you?
I think I don't think I've always thought that I was the best guy. Definitely not.
Because see, that's what I'm wondering. Is that the thing?
Maybe for sure. That might be it. I see guys that at the highest of highs, and I've always thought I may not be as good as them, but I know I'm right there. But the thing that's always helped me continue to progress, I think, is I know I'm as tough as them, and that's what I'm like. I'm willing to put one in the middle of their eyes, and check them to see their toughness. But maybe the belief of like, maybe I'm not as good as I think I am,
Yeah, the imposter syndrome sneaks in there a bit.
For sure.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is like, and then I train with good guys, and then I can beat up some good guys, and I'm like, I'm pretty good at wrestling. and then I get beat up, and I'm like, maybe I'm not that good at wrestling. You know?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe
Yeah.
I'm not as good as I thought I was. And then I go in and have a great day, and I'm like, no, I'm the man. I'm definitely good.
Yeah.
You know?
It's the reason why I ask you that is because you're an incredible wrestler. And I think, and there's a story, and I know you probably have heard this experiment they did, and I'm going to paraphrase it because I don't know the exact, but it sounds terrible, but they put mice in water, and they saw how long that they could swim and before they would drown. And so they put the in there, and I forget what it was, but it was like something to the effect of 15 minutes or something like that, and the mouse would drown. They took the mouse, they put him back in the water with another mouse, put it in water. Right before it drowned, they took it out. And then he put it back in. That mouse survived for hours.
Oh, wow.
Because it knew it could survive.
Yeah.
There's a potential that it could get out.
Yeah.
Belief is a powerful thing. And I think sometimes the word says that faith is what we hope, we believe, we hope and we believe is going to happen, but we haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
I think that sometimes that's the missing element in some people's arsenal. It's that questioning that's keeping them. It's that little thing saying, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I think when we start living a little more by faith, that the true power of our potential comes out.
Yeah.
You need to wrestle like you don't know what's going to happen, but yet you believe it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Just reckless abandonment to your hope. Because then I think you unlock that next level.
Yeah.
That's
what I think my biggest. So those are the things that I've wrestled with since out of college, and I think these last 3 years, however long it's been, that's what I've gotten so much better at. And that weight of the pressure I put on myself has lifted.
It's huge.
Much more. And then this past year, there was a lot of things that changed this last year. I moved from Nebraska, went to California, and
let's get into that. I want to know, post college, you had that weird COVID stuff.
Yeah.
But you went to California, and tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So it provided a change. And a lot of our guys at Nebraska had been heading out. James left, Jordan was leaving, TJ left, and so there was an opportunity that got presented, and there was no bad blood between Nebraska, and it was just provided a change where I thought, okay, I think this is the next step. I think this is okay for me to take this step outside of Nebraska. And so I went to Stanford, and to train, I had Vincenzo Joseph, Shane Griffith, Real Woods, Jay Navis, all these guys were there. So I knew my room was going to be great. Grant Leith is there. And so what happened out there was it didn't have the same structure as Nebraska.
Right.
So I had to take responsibility in a different way that I had never had to take responsibility of my progression ever in my career. And it was like, if you want to get better, you better start caring about it, and you better start figuring some stuff out. And so this past year, it was just like I took a lot more responsibility of that. And so that was everything, wrestling, and then everything outside of wrestling. It was like, how do I want to live? What are my daily habits that I'm going to create? How am I going to eat, sleep, socialize, all these different things. I had to figure all these things out. And I think I've started to hit the groove with that. And that created, when I went into this next world team cycle, when I stepped on the mat, I was a lot more relaxed, and I was a lot more confident, like what you're talking about. And I wasn't really wondering if I was going to lose, because I thought the only way that I was going to lose was if something crazy happened.
Yeah.
And that helped. And I think I made a mistake. I lost, and that sucked, and it hurt in a different way than I think the other ones hurt. I think this time going in, I truly believed I was going to be the guy. I was like, I'm the guy.
Yep.
This is the year I'm going to make it.
Yep.
And everything was going great. I had a great camp. My body felt good. I was, everything was lined up. I was like, this is going to be it. Made a mistake, lost, and it stung, but it was like, oh, I'm right there.
Yeah.
And
Felt different.
Yeah, it felt different. And it was like, I think it just showed me, it gave me confidence in where what I was doing was working, and it was making me better in all areas. And it was like the consistency part of, can you continue to do this to get what you want? Because I believe where we're at in the United States right now is potentially the hardest part could be just making the team.
Yeah.
You make the team, you could be the first year being on the world team and you go win a gold medal. You know, like that's where we're at as far as the level of this country right now. And that's where I think I'm at.
Right.
I think, hey, I break through. I make the team. I beat these guys that I got to beat. Yep. And these are some of the best guys in the world. That's right. I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna go win what I've dreamt about this whole time. And so, yeah, I just keep chipping away, man. I'm trying to stay consistent, and I'm trying to outlast these guys.
That's good. I love it.
Outlast them.
I love it. And you just recently made a move to. You announced it, and you're going to go over to the great state of Pennsylvania and train in Philadelphia with the greats of, Joey and Jordan and all these guys. Tell us a little bit about that if you're able to. Yeah.
So we loved our experience in California. Everything was, it was an awesome year. We had a lot of fun, and it ain't bad being in a state that stays 70 degrees all the time.
That's right.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it just didn't have everything that we thought that for me to hit the levels that I wanted to hit. I don't think all the pieces are put into place there yet.
Right.
So when the opportunity to come out to go to Penn came up, it was like everything that I had been thinking and hoping for. The missing puzzle pieces were provided with this program, and it was just a really cool blessing that came up essentially out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And it was like, wow, like, yeah, I can't believe these people want me, you know? And it was like, okay, like this is it. Like these are the guys that I want to be with.
Yeah.
Potentially to finish my career.
Right.
And I trust the leadership, and I trust the men involved, and it's really cool. Just the little bit that I've been around them. Obviously Jordan, I've been around for a long time, but Joey and Dave and Mark, and these guys take their craft very seriously.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's very cool to be a part of a program where, I come in and it's not just me trying to do something, or it's not just me and another guy trying to be great. It's like there's a whole system here that everyone's thinking high level.
That's right.
And maybe my thinking has been high, but it's down here. Yep. And now they're going to be like, hey, that's not enough.
Right.
You got to do more.
Yep.
And they're just thinking in a different level. And so now I feel like I'm going to be very encouraged to, well, if I'm slacking,
that's right.
I'm going to be picked up by these guys being like, hey, you're not doing enough.
That's good.
Let's pick it up. Let's pick it up. You want to be on the team. You say you want to do these things. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they're going to be able to provide.
That's
and
good.
I'm really excited. I'm really excited to be a part of the team.
Yeah, it's really exciting stuff. And I think you're going to add an element to the team as well. I mean, you get to help Joey, from what I'm hearing, he's not got the guy to bang with in the room. It's close to his weight, and you guys are be able to be practice partners. And that's a pretty awesome duo right there. Just be able to have that going on. So I'm excited for you, but you're not doing this alone. And I have to bring this up. You're a married man, and you got an incredible wife. I've got the opportunity to meet her. My wife absolutely adores her, and my daughter absolutely adores her. Give me a little bit of that. We're going to be closing out here soon, but I want to know a little bit, because every great man that I know has a great, wife or a woman behind him, and it seems like yours is one of the greatest. So tell me a little bit of that story. Did you meet her at college?
Yeah, so I met her in my senior year of college. It was a part of we went to a church called City Light, and every week we'd have small groups that would meet outside. You were encouraged to meet to do life with people around your age, and that extended outside of church.
Sure.
So they're called city groups. And so I would go to the city group every week, and I just kind of started becoming consistent of going to these city groups towards my senior year. And so there was a group of them that would come watch my wrestling duels. And I was actually closer to her brother-in-law and her sister, and I didn't really know much about, I'd seen Sydney, and obviously I was like, dang, that girl's cute, and hadn't really got a chance to talk to her that much, because this group was big and it was in a smaller house. So it was like, there'd be like 50, 60 people there.
Wow.
So you'd show up, and it was basically whoever you were standing next to when you walked in, that's who you're going to be hanging out with for the night. So never got a chance to be around Sydney in particular. But so duel season came around, and they started coming to my duels. And Sydney came to my duel right after New Year's Eve, and I was wrestling Ryan Deacon, who was ranked number 2 in the country. At home. And I was like, oh man, here we go. And so they would send me a list of people like, who's going to come? And so I would have to put like, it'd be like 15 people on this guest pass list. And then I would, have to spread it out between guys on the team. And I would always put Sydney's on under my name. Because I wanted to make sure she knew. Like, all right. Yeah. And so that duel, I ended up beating Deacon. It was like a super hype, and the crowd's going nuts, and I'm on a high, and I'm like, yeah, let's go. And so then I go up to her after the duel, and I introduce myself, and I go in for a handshake. She goes in for a hug. It was super awkward.
That's awesome.
I'm such a dork.
That's great.
And so then I asked her out, and she said no.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah, dude, broke me. I was so hurt. I was like, no.
That's awesome. She said no.
I was like, did you see the match?
Yeah, I won.
I won. No, she has a good excuse. She was talking to a different guy at the time.
Okay, she's being faithful.
Yes,
I get it. Yeah.
So then I hadn't really seen her after that, so I was like, nay. And then she just showed up again. Her name came up on the list again for my senior night.
Wow.
This was a couple months later. So in my head, as just a meatball,
yeah, sure.
I was like, dude, asked her out. She said no. Month and a half went by. She comes to my duel again. Like, definitely she's into me. She wants me to ask her again.
Of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
What else would it be?
Yeah.
So, so this is not, her story is very different from mine.
Oh, yeah. I got to hear her story at some point. Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, let's go. So I won. Go up, say hi to her, end up asking her out another date. And she says, yeah. She's like, all right, I'll go on a date with you. She's done talking to this guy.
Yeah.
And so then we dated for a while. We went through some tough stuff right away.
Sure. I mean, yeah.
It was really hard. She actually, her dad passed away.
Oh man. Yeah.
2 months into us dating.
I heard that.
So that was really difficult.
Was that unexpected?
Very unexpected.
Yeah. That's what I thought. I thought it was a pretty,
It was pretty fast.
Yeah.
He was diagnosed with cancer and passed away pretty fast afterwards.
Yeah.
And so we just had we went through something that was really unexpected. We had a really early relationship, and our foundation was pretty shaky throughout that in the beginning. She's handling this loss. I didn't really know how to help someone grieve through this, and so we ended up breaking up for a period of time, and then hadn't seen each other, hadn't talked to each other at all. Nothing. Completely cut off. We were like, this is the healthiest way to do it. This is how we're going to do it. With no expectations of ever getting back together.
Right. And
just so happens that on Valentine's Day, and I'm not kidding, you can't make it up, the first time that I had seen her, so her story is she would purposely go to different services knowing that I would go to the early one. So I never saw her.
Gotcha.
She was like, you know what? I'm going to go to the early service. If I see him, whatever. We're in a pretty big church, couple hundred people. Like, what are the odds? My sister happened to beat me to church that day, which usually doesn't happen. And I was running a little late, and the service is packed. Like, if you show up late, there was times where people were sitting on the floor.
Wow.
Yeah, so it gets packed.
Yeah.
And so my sister had saved me seats, and we're in the back, and it was right behind Sydney and her sister. Of course. And I was walking in with the team, and I was like, dude, are you like, what? What is she doing?
Yeah.
And so we sitting throughout the service, don't say anything to each other. And I'm just like, I black out this whole service. I don't know what's going on.
You didn't hear the word of the Lord at all. You're just
not at all.
Yeah.
And so then I talked to her afterwards, and ended up asking her out to, like, hey, let's go get some coffee. Let's catch up. Like, wanted to see how she was doing.
Yeah.
And we picked things up back after that, and she was on me. She was on me after that.
Oh,
she was like, listen, I'm not messing around.
This is the deal.
Yeah, it's either we're getting married or nothing. Yeah. Like, we're not playing this back and forth game.
Yeah.
So she set me straight. And so I ended up proposing a few months afterwards, and
that's cool.
Yeah, it's been super cool. It's refined me in a lot of ways that I wasn't ready for, I think, right away. because we went through a lot of serious things during engagement. We moved, and she'd never been outside of Nebraska and away from her home, and we had a crazy like we were living separate until we were married. So it was like dealing with that in a new city, and so yeah, it just refined me in a lot of ways. And then being married, it's a really cool gift.
Yeah, it is.
Silas even said today at dinner was like it really narrows your focus and helps you focus on the things that you want to focus on in life. And I couldn't agree more with that. Yeah, she's awesome, man. She's a really strong believer. She pushes me in a lot of different ways, and really gentle and loving heart. And yeah, she's a gift.
That's
so
awesome.
She doesn't do anything but help my career.
That's
so
good.
Watch out. I'm about to have some dad strength, man.
Yeah, for sure, dude. I love it. I had to ask about it because I want these young men to know that when the right one's there, it's the right move, and it can help you,
Yeah.
And like you said, and Sal said, it kind of changes the focus. It's just good stuff, man. I love seeing it. I got a couple closing questions here, and one of them is, who is your Mount Rushmore of wrestlers?
That I want to beat, or that
I would love to hear who you want to compete against and beat. Let's do that one first.
All right. Who would I want to compete against? Well, I think just the projection of where things are going. I have a little bit of I idolize Sidikoff in a lot of ways right now. And I've watched him a lot.
Yeah.
I've put a lot of film into watching him. One, to help JB, but then also this is a guy that you got to beat.
That's right.
So he's a guy I really would, which is actually really funny. I had the chance to wrestle with Sidikoff at the World Championships after he beat JB the first year. And he was in the back. He was in the room. It was the weirdest thing. He was getting ready to go warm up for his finals match. And he was just walking around asking random people to warm up.
Wow.
So he came up to me and he asked me, he was like, push, 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 push. And dude, I was like, I'm such a homer too for my boys. I'm like, dude, get out of here.
Go away.
Yeah. I was like, no. But like now I'm like, man, dude. Would have been so cool.
Yeah.
But then all time favorite wrestler.
Yeah. Yeah, if like who's the best, right? Like if you got to put them up there, like it's hard, but there's everybody has a different list. But for you, like who was it? Who's those few that just stand out?
When I was younger, I always loved watching John Smith. David Taylor was like the man to me in high school, because David Taylor in his college and my high school, his freshman year was my freshman year of high school. So we had like the same progression as we went up.
Makes sense, yeah.
So I always was like, man, dude, like awesome. Like everybody loved David Taylor.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that was cool. But the best, as far as number one, I mean, it is, I don't care how it sounds, Jordan Burroughs is different from any wrestler than I've ever been around ever. And talk about consistency. And talk about being a dog in the wrestling room. I try to explain it to people, because a lot of people have actually asked me this about, or have asked about Jordan, and it's hard to put your finger on, because I mean everything that you hear about a guy like Michael Jordan or a guy like him, you hear, or like Kobe Bryant, is like this obsessiveness and this competitive nature and this just unrelentless pursuit. And Jordan, since I showed up in Nebraska, every day since I had been in there, I couldn't remember a time where I'd seen him have a day off, have a bad day, have a day where he doesn't perform well, or it was just, didn't matter what weight class he was wrestling with, which that's another thing, is it didn't matter. He would wrestle 197 pounders.
He does,
and he's smacking them.
Yeah.
I was just like, what in the, if I went one weight class above my weight class, I was like, these guys are bigger, stronger. I'm getting beat up. And for him, he was going up 30, 40 pounds.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, what in the world? And it was just his intensity in the room every day.
Yeah.
And it's just it shows in his matches, those matches where everyone loves watching JB come back and win and come back from losing during the match, and then he somehow finds a way to win.
Yep.
And it's like all of that comes from those training days where everybody is tired, everybody is dying, and this guy has way more intensity than anybody else in the room. And it was a known thing that the longer the scramble goes with JB when you wrestle him, the less likely you are to win.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to make it a flurry. You don't want to be in deep waters, because then he like finds this gear that it's like, I mean, I consider myself one of those guys of like, if you are willing to go there with me in a practice of all things, that, hey, listen, there's nobody watching, there's no pressure, and there's nobody around that cares. If you want to go there with me, then I'll go there with you, and I'm going to punish you at the end. Like, I'm going to outlast you.
That's right.
And him is not the case. It's just not the case. I have tried so many times, and it just doesn't happen. It's really an incredible thing. And it's not only that, it's his attitude outside of wrestling that is even more special, and the reason why so many people love him outside looking in, and then everybody a part of his team.
It's true.
You're not going to find anybody that's going to say a bad word about him.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that. And he's always been a great mentor to me, and always been a guy that is willing to have tough conversations in the locker room. And, you know, you think it's just a normal day at practice, and then you get out and me and Jordan are talking for an hour in the locker room about who knows what, something about life, and just picking up different things, just little bits of wisdom from him, and just super cool. A really great guy to be around. And I mean, ultimately it's the dog in him that's just, it's super inspirational.
Yeah, it's good. Great list, but I gotta agree. I mean, I know I'm biased as well, but to me, I call them the royal family, man. They're the top. So definitely good. Another question I have real quick, it's just I want to ask everybody, because I want to get people on this show and that would bring something to the table. If you had off the top of your head, tell me someone you would like to see in that seat, having an interview, who would it be?
Tervel Dlognev.
All right. He came up quite a few times.
Hey, it will change. He will blow your mind. You'll have a 6-hour podcast with him. You're not gonna want him to stop talking.
Oh, I love it.
It's awesome.
I've heard that. I've heard that consistently. I think almost everybody that's been in that seat has mentioned his name.
I'm telling you, man, he's different. He's a wizard.
Yeah.
It's you can talk to him about wrestling, and you can talk to him about life, and everyone around him, he pulls everybody in. Nobody's trying to talk over him.
Yeah.
You're listening.
Yeah.
When he's talking, you're listening. It's pretty cool.
I like that. I definitely think he's special, just from everything everybody said, Now, one thing that I asked my guests to do, and you don't have to give me yours off the top of your head. You can shoot me a text or you tell me later. But I asked my previous guests, and they don't know who my next guest is. But I asked my guest that's on to ask the next guest a question. My previous guest was Reese Humphrey. And so he didn't know it was going to be you in the seat today. But and we've talked a lot about this, which is kind of ironic. But he wanted me to ask the next guest, which is you, how are you growing the sport of wrestling?
Ooh, okay. I think my contribution to the sport right now is through the way that I'm making relationships away from competition. So that's through the community, that's through the church, and that is through wrestling itself, of trying to connect with different wrestlers and growing those relationships, and meeting with them and talking with them and learning from them, and then hopefully them learning from me. And then kind of what the things that we had talked about of I'm getting out into the community, and I'm trying to be a guy that I'm trying to live a life in a way that others can look in and be inspired by. And one of the only ways that I can do that is to be living life with people outside of wrestling. And so for me, community is really big. And so me and my wife try to find strong believers. For us, it's a part of our church. We try to find strong believers and couples that we can do life with.
It's good.
And so those men and women are the people that we're hanging out with. We're going to dinners with. We're having over at our house. We're going out and playing pickleball with. We're doing, we're just doing everything with. And then my hope is through that they see my life and my discipline and the way that I do things differently, and they get excited about the sport. Good. And hopefully it draws people in, and because maybe some guys like Jordan and guys like that have this huge net. Mm-hmm. But if everybody in the sport of wrestling could have this small net and catch some guys, hey, let's bring some people in. Yep. I would say that's my contribution, and hopefully that small circle can grow and ultimately have a big impact.
I love it, and what you're doing is going deep with these people.
Yeah,
and I think that's good because we can do the shotgun approach and hit, try to get as many people as we can, but going deep with people, that's something in my faith that I like too. Discipleship, deep. I love that. That's a good answer. I like that. One thing I like to do when I the one last question I'll ask, and then I'll get into the last part. But this podcast is called Fighting for Success, and success is unique to each person. What does success mean? What does it mean to you? What is success to you?
So that answer has changed as I've grown as a man. For me now, I think is exactly what we have been talking about. Of it's a couple things. There's potential in me that I know whether if I'm reaching that potential or not. When I'm not reaching that potential, I have a sense of guilt of what I'm bringing to the table. So there's a level that I'm holding myself to that I know that I gotta bring it every day, and it's not just because if maybe. Just because of the level of success that I've had up to this point doesn't mean that it's going to be continued success throughout my life. Yeah. It's like, I could be a bum in a year if I just give up on all these different things. It's like every day I got to wake up and there's a standard that I'm going to hold myself to. And so I know me at my best is the only way that I'm going to be able to be a light to those around me. Mm-hmm. So it's that. And then now with my wife, it's not just me alone, and hopefully growing that family and having an impact on Sydney, my wife, in a positive way, I think is a huge way for me to live a successful life.
Yeah.
And then outside of that is the people around me, as far as friends and family. And I think a lot of it is through serving.
Yeah.
I think is the only way that I'm going to be able to look back on my life. It's not going to be being a world champ. It's not going to be medals or this or that.
Right.
It's not going to be the house. It's not going to be the picket fence. It's not going to be the dog, the car, all that stuff, the money, whatever. It's going to be the impact that I've been able to have on other people.
That's good.
With Christ working through me, that's obviously. Right. Yeah. And so that's what I'm trying to chip away at that. And I'm trying to take that what we talked about earlier, that darkness of just like the greediness, the selfishness, the being proud and angry or whatever, all these different things. I'm trying to just get them out, flush them out. And that's that level that I'm trying to hold myself to personally.
It's good.
In hopes that it's going to provide for other people and point them to something greater than what they're doing, and hopefully inspire them.
That's good. There's a real old school definition of success, and I've kind of like, because success means something different to me than anybody else, but we all resonate with those things. Like what you're talking about, that feels like success to me as well. And one of the things that they said, and this old guru type thought, was a person, they say a man's found a pursuit of a noble cause. When they find that pursuit and they go on that pursuit for something noble, that is success. The man that knows it, right? And I'm like, makes sense.
Yeah.
Just knowing what you're going after in a noble way.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's not even about the accomplishment. It's just the pursuit.
Yeah, the pursuit. Yeah, it's noble, and that's something that I would encourage wrestlers is the pursuit is noble in wrestling.
That's right.
If that's the phase of life that you're in, which is the phase of life that I'm in, it's a noble pursuit.
That's right.
And people can find inspiration from that, and you can be a light in that realm. And then when wrestling's done, it's going to be on to the next thing, and it's going to be a pursuit of something else. But it's going to be the same intensity.
Yeah.
It's going to be the same values that are going to inspire people, and hopefully take what we have seen as far as eliminating that darkness in you, and hopefully bringing you to the next level, where you are being now you're inspiring others.
Yeah.
And to me that's being successful.
That's good. That's real good. Last thing here, man. I like to kind of like impart things to people that I'm a spiritual person myself, and been a minister for years, and discernment's one of the gifts that the Lord has given me, and I just like to speak over people. And if you don't mind, I'd like to just tell you what I feel and about you. To me, you are a good man, and I know the Bible says there's no good man, but what I mean by that is you are pursuing the right things. I would say that your passion, your heart, and your desire is your motor, but your transmission is love. And I believe that love is what's going to propel you to the next level in every aspect of your life. You've leaned upon strength of things in the past that will not be able to propel you to the place that God is calling you in the future. The only way you can get to that place is love. Love will be your dynamic. It'll be your strength. It'll be the thing that catapults you to the next level. You are not a second man. You are a first man. The Lord looked at you and he said, he's my son. And he's calling you to something that I believe is greatness. And that greatness will be identified in you through various things in your life. And I think that the mat's one of them. And I believe that the passion and love combination in you is going to be dynamic. And I also believe that you and your family is going to be a beacon of light. And I believe that your ability to push through and to persevere through adversity is going to be what leads other people to not only their own faith, but also their place in life, that they can find the love that you found. So I thank you, man, for what you are and who you are. I can't wait to see all the things that God does through you and what you do with all the abilities you've been given. We're thankful to have you in the sport of wrestling. I'm thankful to have you as a brother in my life and a friend. Ladies and gentlemen, Tyler Berger.
All right, thank you for having me.
Appreciate you,
it.
man.
All my life. All my life. If it looks too hard, you try it. If your body says no, you defy it.